Oh, there we go.
Oh,
It worked. This is
good morning.
Good morning, everybody. Today is May the 9th. Be with you.
And with you,
Yes.
sir.
Yes. We have a great show today. We've been doing this now for a while. It's always fun when we get some guests on. We are going to have Will from IQ Joe, IQ Bar, IQ Mix. I think I got all of them. He's going to be joining us, and we both bought these on this new cool website, Amazon.com. AMAZON.com.
They sell a lot of stuff. It's
So
amazing.
much stuff there. It was
Wow.
crazy. But bought this sampler pack here, this IQ Joe. We're gonna unbox it. I don't know about you, Corey, but I'm gonna try some. I haven't tried it yet. So let's see here. I think I hit. Will, how are you today, sir?
I'm good. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, man. You have it's not to brag, but very
You would never do that.
I would never do that. It's not very often that we get to have somebody on the show that has more Twitter followers than I do. So I mean LinkedIn.
Okay, I was gonna say I think I have 3,500 or something on Twitter. It's pretty fairly modest.
I know. I actually enjoy interacting with you on Twitter because I don't do anything with packaging really on Twitter, and I do find that LinkedIn now can get a little. It's still beautiful, but it can get a little muddled from time to time. So sometimes it's nice when I see you pop up on my Twitter feed. I'm like, oh, hey, there's Will with 2 comments. I'm in.
Twitter is LinkedIn after dark. It's just a little.
I like
a little bit of edge to it. If you have a little bit of a spicy take, maybe it works better on Twitter. It's good. It's like the angel and the devil on your shoulder.
That's a great analogy.
That's a perfect analogy. I'm still trying to rebuild my MySpace, and it's just not going anywhere.
You need to get on that. It's time.
Yeah, Tom won't reply, and he's on an island somewhere.
He's lazy.
Will, you've been doing this now for a while. I feel like I've been following this journey for a little bit. How long have you had it? Is the company's name IQ Bar, or is there okay, so it's IQ Bar, and I see you guys in club stores, I see you in online, and then you have IQ Mix, you have IQ Joe. Did I get all of the IQ family?
Yes.
Sweet. How long have you been at this?
I started ideating on it in 2016, but we didn't really in earnest start until our Kickstarter, which was January of 18, and then we fulfilled on those orders in mid 18. So mid 18 is really like when we started in the marketplace.
Where's it made?
Make bars. Well, actually, both bars and our powder products in the Midwest.
Great.
Yeah. Did the idea come to you? Like, were you trying the bar for the first time, and then your brain just got like enlightened, and you were like, "I have a great idea."
Like IQ.
No, I read a book called Grain Brain by Dr. David Perlmutter, and I also read a book called Mission in a Bottle by Seth Goldman and Barry Nailbuff, the guys who started Honest Tea. And the combination of those two readings was transformative for me. First of all, it made me want to start a food and bev company. And then second of all, it got me fascinated with the intersection of nutrition and cognition. Most people think about nutrition as it relates to their waist size or digestion or building muscle or whatever, all body related concerns. And I was far more interested in what it does between your ears, and honestly, it's like, it was mostly on the negative side. So how do you avoid mental crashes, brain fog, and then over the long term, degeneration, cognitive degeneration. So like, that's what I think a common misconception, like the best things you can do are remove bad things first.
Yeah.
And then subsequently you can get a nerd out on all the micronutrients and things that you can layer on. But like, the first thing to do is to not eat things like simple carbs that are going to spike your blood sugar and crash your mental state and all that.
Totally agree.
Interesting. Hey, do us a favor. If you're watching this live on LinkedIn, or if you're watching this live on YouTube, you can drop us some questions, comments. Let us know where you may be watching from. So is this the newest iteration then that we're holding here? We're going to unbox this IQ Joe.
Yeah.
Okay. So walk us through, like, we're going to open this here in a second, but walk us through what it is that what is this particular product? I'm a big coffee drinker. I love coffee. So I was super excited to see this because I think there's a lot of benefits to coffee in general. I don't know. I'm not a nutritionist. But it was cool to see kind of what you had built and developed here. So maybe talk us through this iteration of the brand. And I know you've even said before, if you can hear my kettle is staying boiled, so I can try this. You've said this before, I think, online, that some of your things do really well in retail. Some of your products are performing better in retail. Some are built for DTC, direct to consumer, e-commerce.
Right.
And so I'd be curious to hear kind of, this is clearly a packaging that's built for e-commerce. So we'd love to hear about this IQ Joe and also kind of why you picked the packaging formats.
Yeah, I mean, so there's this kind of crossroads that brands reach where you have to decide, am I going to be a single product or a single category brand, or am I going to try and platformize? Right? That's like a classic thing. And there's many schools of thought on it. And many people say, focus, focus, focus. And to be clear, like, if you can take one product or form factor to the moon, do that. It's more operationally simple. You get quicker and better economies of scale, yada, yada, yada. But the reality in food and bev is, folks churn out of categories. Variety and freshness and novelty is incredibly important. And there's a whole variety of other factors that make it such that, especially for a digital first brand, which we are, it is advantageous to platformize such that you can build bigger baskets, have higher average order values. People churn less, right? They might churn on the bars, but then they pick up the coffee, and then they churn the coffee, and then they do hydration, and vice versa. And it also just massively, of course, increases your total addressable market, right? We have consumers who only consume coffee. We have consumers who only consume bars. We have some who consume hydration and bars, right? So there's so many more permutations and at-bats you get with consumers. And then to your earlier point, Adam, like, you can cover your bases from a go-to-market standpoint on channel strategy better, in my opinion. So let's say we were only a stick pack hydration company. Well, it just so happens that it's incredibly hard to make that form factor in that category work in, let's say, conventional grocery. And so if that was my only product, that sucks, right? I just can't have access to that channel. But because I also sell bars and those happen to work much better, well, now I do have access to that channel. So it gives you more at-bats with consumers, but also from a go-to-market standpoint.
And do you see some crossover there when a consumer buys this? Do you see them go, and because now all I want to do is go buy the bars, like that.
Yeah.
Now that I know that there are other forms, are you seeing that?
Definitely. Okay. Yeah, and then you'll notice, like, on the back of packaging, we say that we sell other stuff, right? So we're always cross-selling. Yeah. And if you go to our Amazon storefront, right, you will see our other products. You may not have known that we sell hydration, and now you're like, well, I like the coffee, let me try the hydration or the bars or whatever. So yes, there is that. And it's that we pick the categories very intentionally so they're not cannibalizing. I think most times you see, let's say, a bar company go into like bites or peanut butter cups or whatever. And to a large degree, it's A is cannibalizing B and vice versa. And so for us, we were, I think, a bit contrarian in that we went into like wildly different categories. You might be scratching your head of like bars to coffee to hydration. That seems not coherent. Well, that's by design. It actually is quite coherent because it's the same consumer, just at different occasions throughout the day and solving different problems. but it's completely coherent from a nutritional standpoint, low sugar, clean label, functional, etc. It's just entirely non-cannibalizing. So you're not going to consume one instead of the other. In fact, you're going to, ideally, they're complementary. Consuming one makes you want to consume the other more, right? So that's like the vision. There's 10 other things which are more germane to this topic, I would say, which are more like logistical advantages of the categories we picked, right? There's a reason we don't go into refrigerated,
right,
for our, frozen ice cream sandwiches, let's say.
That's hard to do.
Everything we do is compact, light, e-com friendly, long shelf life, yada, 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 yada. And
smart.
What we're working backwards from there is it needs to work online.
Yeah. So. Let's go through some, let's say hi to our friend Hugh. He works over at, shout out to Butternut Mountain Farms. They've got a great maple syrup products. Andrea chimed in here. She's a big IQ bar fan, and she says that she will ever be a bar consumer. She loves how it can travel, skiing or snowboarding, I guess, too, for all of my, I'm in Salt Lake City and I snowboard. So, and kids, kids love them. What is going on? Kibriya from Bangladesh. We appreciate you dropping in here. And cool. We got Brian. Hey, Will, still hoping your brand helps to fuel the kidneys for kids driving for life nationwide trip. Thanks, Brian. Well, let's.
Is that something you want to speak to, Will? That charity that you work with?
We don't work with them yet.
I was gonna. I think that was just a comment that.
He wants to do that. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So thanks for dropping in, Brian. Let's open this. Let's open this thing up, shall we?
Yeah. So, and then as you're doing it, I'm sure you noticed this is not no one else sells in this form, right? It's
correct.
Highly unique in how we do that. As you can see, you can imagine that's not easy to kit.
Right? Yeah, but is it by hand?
It is. It is. Although we're I think working on an evolution to that. And that rip cord, that was not always the way it was.
Yep.
It used to be just perforated, and you would rip it, and it would.
I was gonna say, you can see on the inside, and I know there's companies that make these. They put them in shrink sleeves to be able to tear off for recycling. You can't rely on the perforation tool for your printer always, right?
Right.
Because that's actually a big point of frustration with consumers. So I didn't know that it was going to open this cleanly. So shout out to, I was kind of like,
smooth. Yeah,
we'll see how this works.
No, and that was via trial and error, just like everything else we do. We started with the perf because we're like, oh, cool, that's like easier and cheaper, and it just kept failing. And we're like, all right, we got you. You just got to go with a ripcord, and the ripcord like never fails, basically.
Real quick, Will, I have a coffee question. Is 200 milligrams of caffeine, is that equal to how many cups of black coffee?
It's basically a standard cup of coffee from Starbucks. Like a grande is, I don't know, 225 or something.
Okay.
And a venti, like people don't realize this, like a venti is like 325 or something crazy like that.
Wow. Is there a recommended daily dose for caffeine?
That's a great question. I drink a lot of caffeine.
Me too.
So whatever it is, I'm probably over it. But that's a great question. I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, this sounds like a good number.
But it's quite standard. Like you'll I would say. Now, why, like one of the reasons this product is special is we include magnesium L-threonate, and the trademark's Magtine.
Mm-hmm.
So if you combine that with caffeine, or some people also will combine L-theanine, which is an amino acid, with caffeine, it effectively smooths out the peaks and valleys of the stimulatory impact of caffeine. So that's
lion's mane, which I thought was really cool. Yeah.
So
go ahead.
Oh no, yeah, happy to get into like why.
Yeah, I want to get into the packaging.
Yeah.
I love the matte finish on it. Will, looks awesome.
Thank you.
Okay, so let's talk about the paperboard box here. So, and then we got a couple questions coming in. So the thing that I'll tell you what I loved about this box. Number one is it's perfectly built for e-commerce. It is 100% right sized. There's no waste in this. I'm guessing that it's
a great form factor. Yeah.
It comes with this. So you've got the little rip in there. This is probably up. It gets filled and then it gets sealed. So there's no waste in it, which is awesome. We're gonna try this.
Perfect to store in your shelf, and right next to your bag of coffee. Just slide it in or replace your bag of coffee.
Yeah, and most folks will have either like a lot more chipboard or in a gusset bag.
Right.
It's just more material. Like, there's like virtually zero waste.
Correct.
In it.
Also
totally recyclable.
It's printed. Let's see. Okay, maybe there. So if you can see this, if you're watching, the light brown is 4-color process, but you have one spot color, which is this dark brown. And for the packaging nerd in me and everything else, I went through and I was down here with my loop. Being in 5 colors means that almost any, not just folding carton manufacturer, but you've opened yourselves up to even commercial printers. There's probably like envelope manufacturers and commercial printers. So this is it's a great form factor, not only because of the actual form factor, but also because the material is. I've got all my little fun fancy tools here.
I got to get some of these things.
They're pretty.
Yeah,
they're pretty
a loop is a great tool to have. Really smart. I like how you can see them all. They're all lined up, easy to grab.
So why a lot of people don't do this is because it's really hard to kit, right? So if you have a gusset bag, it's a big opening. You can just grab a handful, dump them in. It's quite frankly more efficient. And so we're willing to trade off the kitting efficiencies for packaging efficiencies, and dimensional and weight efficiencies.
So one question I'm guessing maybe you kind of walked through is, so this arrives at my house, and then if it's in like maybe a traditional like box, like with a flat bottom on it, there's going to be a lot of waste in the shipping, because this can just ship in like a standard envelope. This could even theoretically ship in it could be a SEOC if Amazon wanted it to. They could slap a shipping label.
Yeah, that would not be ideal consumer experience, but yes, I bet.
Yeah, I mean, that's what I was going to say, but it could. I think that the concern I would have is, now that I get this, I immediately have to find a place to dump all of this, right? Because this isn't gonna necessarily store. It's not going to sit on my shelf.
I disagree. I'm going to slide this right into my shelf, right next to my coffee canister, and it's going to live right there.
Well, Corey, it's okay to be wrong. It's okay to be wrong, Corey.
I'm right today.
It's an interesting one. If you knew how hard we nerded out on trying to make a kickstand, you would be disgusted at how much time I spent thinking about that. That we had that thought. We're like, most people use a gusset bag because you can just put a bag on the counter, you open it, and you just kind of like pull out of it. And so we're like, hey, that'd be cool to have a kickstand. And we actually designed it, and we went through all these iterations. And ultimately, it was like, people are just like, it's annoying enough people won't do it. It'll fail at a high enough rate, and it'll add cost. Like, is anyone not buying this because of that one element? Because most people are they're doing what Corey's doing, or they have like a bowl or a mini vase or a cup or whatever, and they're grabbing a handful and they're just slotting it into some sort of cylindrical receptacle.
We have a drawer with like tea bags, and also like that this would just drop into, right? So that's what we would do. But yeah, I agree.
You're right. That is like a trade-off, right? Just like, these are all micro trade-offs, right? And so the ultimate question you have to ask yourself is the consumer not buying it because of this? And if the answer is it does not change the consumer's
great question,
binary decision, then that's all that matters,
then
right?
Stop.
So you're
right.
rather than continue to drive logistical efficiencies, because ultimately that allows you to benefit the consumer because you give them a better price. So
right.
per serving, it's $1.25, which is like an insanely good value. How do we get that? We max out efficiencies like on all the rest of it.
What a huge savings over,
a
coffee shop, right? Yeah, that's amazing. Well done.
Another thing that I just actually spoke about this, which is like, this is just for brands in general. Like, is a consumer not going to buy this? Sometimes brands will get hyper fixated like on this brown color, and they'll be like, this brown has to be exactly perfect. Right. And what's interesting is there has yet to be a study produced. There's a gentleman over in Belgium who's been trying to figure this out for 15 years that shows that this will actually make any difference. And he did that with Coke Red. Like, what do people think is Coke Red? He's been doing the study, and it's like,
or Heinz Red. I know Heinz has all these ads about, it's Heinz if they have like a color matcher. Yeah.
I mean, that kind of makes a little bit of sense, but either way, that's another like pet peeve of mine. Yeah, I mean, so we do have a question, and I'm gonna try this thing from LinkedIn user to begin with. How do you convince your investors with such competitive confectionery company existing in the market?
Yeah, maybe he's just asking how do you convince investors? I'm sure it sounds like he's referring to bars more so than coffee, but same. We play in all ultra competitive categories. Every category that's like something like we want to be in competitive categories. There's a reason they're competitive, because they're great categories and they're massive and they're growing. I would say, how do you convince investors to back you in those spaces? I mean, I could do a whole hour on that.
I was like, I don't know that we have a ton of time.
Well, quick question: will you consider another form factor like a bulk powder?
Yeah, we have thought about that. And a good analog is Liquid IV on the hydration front. But I think the same goes for hydration and coffee are kind of similar. Sometimes you have single serve packets. Sometimes you have a tin of Folgers or whatever.
Right.
We have thought about that. We like living in the single serve world. I think it differentiates us on the coffee side, less on the hydration side. You do get into some realities with powder, right? So powder, especially on the hydration side, is hygroscopic and is going to gobble up a bunch of water out of the air and is going to clump. And so you're going to have to jam just so many flow agents into a tub of powder that you're just going to have a failure rate. And so, again, these are micro trade-offs. So it's good in the sense that consumers can dose it out to their liking. So that's good. It's cheaper. It's less material. There are all these good things about it. But then the trade-off is you're hitting a much higher failure rate. That will fail. Right. So you're going to get things like clumping, which will then impact the consumer experience and yada, yada. So, and you're also going to one tubs cannibalize sticks.
Right.
And vice versa.
I was even thinking, though, you could put the sticks into a canister if you had like a Costco order or something like that, if you needed a large, and then that could go.
We thought about it, but we're super intentional about dimensions. So there's a reason that it's an envelope. I'll just leave it at that.
I love it. We're not trying to push. We're just saying that.
Oh no, you should.
There's so many options.
Give me so many things we're doing wrong, and then that'll be helpful.
You're doing a lot right. This is awesome.
But yeah, a canister, right, obviously breaches that thickness dimension such that it's changing shipping tiers in a bad way for you. So again, trade-off, but it's kind of cool. Like I like a canister. So is that cool factor worth it to pay 50 cents more per unit on shipping? Like these are all things you have to decide as a brand owner.
You're muted, Adam.
Everybody, just hang on for 1 second. I had to mute because my water was heating up, because I want to open this thing up and try it. But I have seen brands that will sell like canisters for the home. So they could get the envelope in if they subscribe or whatever it is. They can take it, they can put it into the canister, kind of put the lid on it so that it looks nice or whatever, or they can just go buy one and do it themselves. So let's see. This is the test. See how easy this opens, because this is another nice. There was a company once, by the way, Will, that like this stick pack material is all over the market. Like most companies can use it. There was a company who decided to brand it as it's the same material, but they were like, you got to be in our rip stick is what it's called. And it just made me laugh. Like, it's the same. It's just an easy tear stick pack.
Easy tear. Yeah.
That's literally, but there were like companies who were convinced. They were like, we have to be in this rip stick. And I'm like, just so you know, you don't. I just
well, that comes back to my earlier comment. Because we've done it in a couple different ways. The first time we did stick packs, there was a tear notch and there were some perforations added, and it was not easy tear.
Yeah.
And so the barrier could be thicker, and it was fine. Like, it's, again, you have to ask, will consumers not buy this because of how it opens? Almost always the answer is no. Right. Yep. The product is 100 times more important than the ability for you to, tear it. So,
okay.
That being said, easy tear is nice.
I went with the hazelnut. That was my choice here. While I'm doing this, we got a question here from Bod. You mentioned the importance of form factor and expanding your go-to-market channels and how non-cannibalizing products help increase customer LTV. What's that? What is LTV?
Lifetime value.
Lifetime value. There you go. How do you balance? I figured that was like a phrase that you would know. How do you balance packaging sustainability with the need for differentiated formats, especially when scaling digitally and across retail? Are there trade-offs? Great question.
Yeah. I mean, there are absolutely trade-offs. As we talked about earlier, we use as little material as possible wherever we can, which is, it's like a win-win, right? Because it's more sustainable.
Yep.
Packaging is recyclable, and also it ships really efficiently. So it's like great. But it's a good point, because I mean, we all know.
Thank you. Sorry.
We all know the cereal box thing, or the potato chip thing, where half of the box is air, right? So
such a waste.
Why do they do that? Well, it's a bigger billboard, right? And you get into things like perceived value of the consumer, and that's perceived value is like everything, right? Huge. And so it just is what it is, that you will not, in retail, you will have to optimize, if you want to be successful, optimize for perceived value, which usually means you're not doing what we're doing here and having like zero dead space. Like, usually you're gonna have some dead space. So I'd be lying if I was to say there isn't a trade-off in brick and mortar. The beauty of e-com is that you have a digital shelf, right? And so, well, on the packaging side, you can max out efficiency. So it's really like an e-com versus retail story there.
Yeah, I went with the hazelnut, and it is fair. I love a good hazelnut flavor. No, like, there's no cream. I didn't add anything to it, just water in the mix. And how long did it take you guys to work on these flavor profiles? Because it's really good.
Oh, thank you.
It doesn't have like a normal, like, mixed coffee. I can see like taking this camping, because I do that a lot. I don't do a lot of camping, but I'm imagining that there's people that go out.
I mean, it's coffee's such an interesting one, right? Because like bars and hydration, they're just like baseline things that are the things. So an almond's an almond, right? And like sodium citrate is sodium citrate, and citric acid is citric acid, and like. But like, coffee is not just coffee. There is a wide spectrum of beans, origins, roast levels. So to say your coffee isn't very helpful, it's like, is it medium roast? Is it light roast? Is it from Brazil? Is it from Colombia? Is it a Robusta bean? Is it an Arabica bean? So it's just a dizzyingly large spectrum. So to answer your question, we spent a lot of time. And what makes it like the most challenging is we're trying to be really, like, deliver really good value, meaning a low price point. And so it has to be affordable. in addition to being smooth, in addition to being, you know, having good flavor notes, et cetera, et cetera. So that's really the challenge, is like achieving A, B, and C. If you really just wanted like an incredible coffee, well, great, just go buy the most premium coffee. And now that serving costs you $5 instead of $1.25. The challenge is, how do you deliver insanely good value and quality?
It'd be interesting to see if you could, maybe as like a next iteration. Now that I've had my IQ Joe, my brain is kicking.
Now you have ideas. Wow.
So many ideas. My idea yesterday was a website called Only Dan's, where you just people named Dan send like cameo videos to people. So I don't always have the greatest ideas, but if you could take the stuff that makes it so good and have a mix with coffee potentially, right? Like that could be a way where if I have my coffee that I love,
like it's an add-in, right?
I can mix it in and then make it IQ Joe.
Yeah. So we've thought about that. So you're basically saying like a creamer or like something to that effect, right?
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah. But I want you to consume our coffee. I want, so here's the other thing. Convenience is king, right? So you just mentioned, you just poured that in and stirred it and you're drinking it straight. That is like epic, right? That's huge. I don't want you to have to modulate your coffee. I want it to be like great. Because again, let's say you're camping or you're on the road, or it's just so annoying to have to modify your coffee with like 3 different steps. And so our whole goal was, how do we deliver like the entire package in one servings, and someone can drink it straight? Like that's just another giant value check for the consumer.
Well, they definitely can. And Andrea, thanks for jumping in here. I agree. It's super convenient. I can see myself doing this. I travel a lot. I speak at a lot of shows, go to a lot of, trade shows and things like that. Now grabbing this, putting it in my bag instead of having to rely on what's the hotel coffee going to be, which is always a terrible idea. Now I can just heat up some water and I got my coffee ready to go. So there's obviously a lot of benefits to it. In the form factor it's in.
Yeah, thanks for being on, Will. Really appreciate your time.
Yeah, any last words? Go to Amazon. Go to what website could they go to pick some of this up if they want to?
Yeah, iqbar.com or Amazon. If you buy it on Amazon, please leave a review. And no, that's it. Follow me for harebrained ideas on LinkedIn.
I love following, there's a bunch of
great content
founders that are on LinkedIn who are just a wonderful collective of people, because it doesn't feel self-serving, but there's an attraction to the brand because of the authenticity of your voice.
Right.
And I think that there's a lot of brand owners that can learn a lot from that, right? Like being authentic, talking about what's working, talking about what's not working. It made me want to, like, I see your stuff, and I'm sure a lot of people are. I see it in Costco, and I'm like, I'm going to buy that.
Yeah, that's
not
cool.
Because like Will's my friend, but because I know I follow you.
Now we're friends.
Now we're friends.
Check.
Yes. Bucket list. All right, we got another. Make sure Benjamin, make sure that you.
There you go. We got a sale. We got a sale out of this.
Nailed it.
I'll send you over the invoice for
a broker fee.
Yeah.
Thank you, sir.
Thanks again, Andrea, for joining. Thank you, Will. Everyone go check out IQ Joe, IQ Mix, IQ Bar. Follow Will on all the social platforms. It's been great. Follow Corey Connors. Shout out to Corey.
He's awesome. Yeah.
Sustainable packaging.
No, both of you guys are. This is a cool idea, by the way. No one is doing this other than you guys, it seems. And it's like insanely impactful from a P&L standpoint. Like, it's so overlooked, packaging, like everything about it, from the material to the dimensions to the perceived value on the consumer side to yada, yada, yada. Like, it's one of the more overlooked aspects of CPG.
I agree.
Please continue.
Yeah.
We agree. We've been doing this now. Actually, I started my podcast in 2017, 2018. So right around the time that IQ Bar was getting started is when Corey and I started making videos and TikTok.
Crazy amounts of videos. 2,000 videos on TikTok.
Yeah, we've been doing this live on LinkedIn and YouTube with our other host who couldn't join us, Avelio, for over a year. So we've done almost 300 episodes of this. So who knew packaging was so interesting to talk about and argue about? But here we are. So
here's somebody that wants to work for you. Will, this is Tyler.
Oh yeah,
are you hiring anybody right now?
Who needs HR or salespeople when you can go on this program?
That's right, man. That's here. What else can we do for you? Yeah, this is
great. If you need to sell one thing or hire one person, come on the Packaging Today show.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
Now we really appreciate you, Will. Thanks for taking some time out. I'm sure you got a busy schedule.
Thank you.
Everyone make sure to rate IQ Joe, IQ Bar, IQ Mix on Amazon. And please give our show a 5-star review as well. We would really appreciate that. So thanks everybody for joining. Thank you, Will. Feel free to hang out after I hit in stream if you want to for a few minutes, and we'll say bye.
Cool.
But thanks, guys.